punch in the nuts. Was it Goku?
It was Goku, but that was after he transformed into Super Android 13.
Yeah, that was insanity.
Of suffering.
Why is it always the Kiwis?
A little bit more rewatchability. Not that superhero don't have it, but like Broly might be easier to rewatch just off the strength that it's flashy, it's straight fighting. Like it's just gonna be entertaining. Okay, I have no idea what to call this series or what Joe should end up naming this. We about to have a quick little discussion. I have a quick set of questions that I'll answer, and Joe will answer first and then I'll answer. It should be Dragon Ball based, and at the end it'll probably be like a bonus question. There's a couple I have in mind. There's a bunch I have ready, but we're gonna keep it short for this first one just cause schedules and whatnot. You know? Schedules, which is, we just chop it off the schedules. You ready, Joe? So the first one, of course, these first three, well, most are gonna always be Dragon Ball based, but the third or the bonus question it don't have to be. Most times it will be too. We love Dragon Ball over here. It is what it is. Okay, the first question, objectionally. Now, when I asked this, Joseph Saiyan, objectionally meaning, of course, non-subjectively, so it can be your favorite, but looking at certain points. Objectionally, what is the best Dragon Ball Super movie to you? No Battle of Gods. We won't put Battle of Gods in this conversation. That's where it gets messy. He knows how I feel about Battle of Gods. I don't know. I know how he feels about Battle of Gods. We don't even need to discuss that. Outside of Battle of Gods, between the 3 Dragon Ball Super movies we got, objectionally, what is the best one? So, no, like...
You mean objectively?
Is that the word? That's the proper way to add the Ali?
You mean to take without personal feelings or anything, right?
Yes, objectively. Okay, objectionally? Where was I getting objectionally from? Where have I heard that, bro? Now I gotta Google the word, man. What about?
This is why people hate English.
Bro,
we just make stuff up. That's just kind of what happens. We just make stuff up. We put words together. And
right, like where did I hear objectionally? Objectionably. Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
okay.
So straight up, only the super films is what you're talking about.
Only the super films right now. We'll get to the Z-Wiz on some other episode. Honestly. I mean, that's a tougher question.
That's only 2. You know that, right?
Is Resurrection F a Z?
I'm pretty confident that it's Z. Yeah.
No shot.
It is.
If it is.
It is. It's Z.
Now I gotta include Battle of Gods, but that would be so unfair. I don't wanna.
Yeah, if you're gonna include ROF, then you have to include
Battle of Gods.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say that, but those are both. Those are both Z. The way you could just go about it, you could just say that it's how do you put this? It's post end of Z, I guess. I don't know. It's like Battle of Gods and Resurrection of F came out after, way like 10 years later, 10 plus years later. So
right.
If they didn't do well, then we wouldn't have Dragon Ball Super. So I mean, they are the prequel to Super.
yeah, they are. So, but it's like if I include Resurrection F, we have to include Battle of Gods. But then we know I know what that answer is going to be. We know what that is. That won't even be a topic. That won't even be a discussion. So honestly,
the whole thing is you wanted to say what was the best
objectively.
What's the best between Broly and Superhero then? Like, what do you think told the better story?
I can easily tell you, and I'm sorry, but people are gonna be mad. But the one that tells the best story, that has the most amount of characters, the actual everything, animations, etc., is Superhero. I mean, no matter what way you want to look at it.
I thought that was gonna be your answer. So I want to know why. I just want to know, why you feel.
Well, the thing is,
I'm not saying that's wrong.
Okay, so I'm not trying to I guess I am going to compare, but I'm more going to be using it as an example. But let's look at look at older Z movies. Okay, You look at Fusion Reborn. How much of Fusion Reborn is just straight up fight scenes? Like, you got to look at all of these old Z movies, and you got to think which one of these had actual context, which ones of these actually had a story, what actually had lead up and everything to it. Whereas some of the other ones are just there's that person, they fight, here's good fight scenes, and peace deuces.
That's a good point. Future Reborn, if I'm not tripping, it was pretty much all fighting. It was just
but it was a lot of different fight scene, different characters.
Right.
It was back and forth.
The lead up to getting to where Janemba was. You're right. Good point. Unlike something I know it's more of a special, but Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans, or even
Planet of Eradicate Saiyans, and
That's like a
people are
special.
also going to be mad about this. Yeah, it's a special.
So a weak
Just
movie.
like
That's a weak
Bardox
movie.
is not a
I don't
movie, it's
care.
a special. Just
a
like
weak
Future
movie,
of
bro.
Trunks or
Bardock, not
History
Bardock.
of Trunks, it was made into a quote-unquote movie. But yeah, they're not technically movies, they're specials. I think there's a couple older ones like Garlic Jr. It's not a movie, it's like it's a filler set of episodes.
Wow, that is nuts.
So then what do you think Broly, Super Broly, is on the comparison of in terms of a Z movie?
In terms of a Z movie,
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to go look back on it,
Like off memory, just off memory, not like nothing set in stone, dogmatic.
I'd have to say it's probably close to Metal Cooler. Metal Cooler was just one big
was straight
drawn
fighting.
out to the
One
straight fighting.
Now that's a straight fighting one. I couldn't put my finger on one that was straight fighting. That one was
Yeah.
straight fighting.
Cooler actually had a lead up. He actually had context. He had some story. He had plot.
Yeah. But
That's
the
just how that
return
was.
was just straight fighting. Tree of Might had a lot of context and build up. A lot of it actually. I just remember that one feeling like it was slow when I was little. Sometimes just getting to the fight, you know.
Yeah,
That one had
no,
a lot
exactly.
of context. Bio Broly was straight fighting.
Yeah, Bio
A lot of
Broly
it.
was,
No, it's-
but Bio Broly has some.
It
lead
does
up
have
too.
build up. No, it does have build up because Android 18, Hercule, and everybody I do like that. We'll talk.
Mm-hmm.
That's for another one though. That's for another episode. We got to talk about Bob Broly. So you saying superhero is more so on the lines of like a Fusion Reborn, while Broly is more so on the lines of like Return of Cooler type thing.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I would say superhero has more build up, less fighting, and more story. And I think that's pretty important considering what some of the past movies were. At least the two previous. So from a story standpoint, I think, yeah, superhero is just stronger. From a fighting standpoint, which is why most people would probably subjectively say
So
Broly is better.
I
is
have a whole
superhero.
thing about that. I actually, I'm not trying to be rude, but
Alright.
I'm glad that you made this a question thing because it gives a good solid answer of how I feel about this question. But I actually hate the question of is superhero better or is Broly movie better? It's the difference between
Such different movies.
it is. But the way I look at Broly is I'm watching an event. I'm watching a wrestling match. That's what I'm watching with Broly. I'm watching a good fight. I mean, it's almost like a sport you're watching. Whereas by comparison of you watching superhero, you're watching an actual story being told. You're getting backstory, you're getting new characters and so forth. You're actually getting more than just a raw scene. So when I think of people saying which one is better and they say Broly, the only thing that tells me is that you are not you're not watching this for the story. You're not watching it for background or characters. You just want to see Unga Bunga. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But
I get you.
to me, you're just comparing apples and oranges. That's what you're doing.
Right.
You're comparing apples and oranges to it. It's like literally trying to compare Dragon Ball and Z. They are completely different.
It's just it's almost like two separate fans sometimes.
It is 100% two separate fans because some people only started watching Dragon Ball because of Z, and they like the fight scenes. They like all the epic fantasy energy blasts and all this other crazy madness. They like it. They do. But when you go to Dragon Ball, it's humorous completely all the way through. It's a comic book. It's a comic book.
Just like a fun
It's a fun adventure, exactly, and that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, it's in the intro, the grand adventure. That's the whole point.
Right. See, that's a good point. I like that though. They're honestly incomparable as movies just based off of how they feel. That's like it's
Exactly.
almost like
You shouldn't actually be picking which one is better unless you're just that objectively a full-on Dragon Ball fan. But I feel like as a full Dragon Ball fan, like I like Dragon Ball no matter what. It doesn't matter what.
Of course,
It could be,
and that's why subjectively they're both gonna be good just off the strength of their Dragon Ball movies, and we enjoyed them. But it's like when I ask that question, it's more so not in a sense to say like one is bad. It's just like which one told them more. It kind of like it did though. It kind of explained the type of fan of Dragon Ball you are though. You know, because some people would answer
It does.
Broly,
It
and
100%.
There's no right or
answers
wrong
what kind
answer.
of fan you are.
Yeah,
Really,
you feel me? There's no
it
right or
answers
wrong
what
answer.
you're watching for.
It explains a lot.
And
You
the
know
thing
what I mean?
is, even if you like compared it to like a box office hit, like which one did better in theaters or whatever have you,
Yeah, like what people was talking
majority of people is probably going to go for the Broly movie because
Exactly.
it's flashier.
It was like an event. I went to theaters for that one. I
It's- it's a
should've
moth
went
to the
theaters for
flame
superhero.
thing. But with
Yeah.
superhero, it's a lot more chill. It's calm. It does have new epic forms and whatnot, so it is interesting. But if you go into it knowing what you're about to go into, probably a lot of people, for a theoretical experience of seeing flashy big screen thing, they're gonna probably watch Broly over superhero.
Broly. And then there's like the aspect of Broly being more flashy. There's an argument to be made in there that it might have a little bit more rewatchability. Not that superhero don't have it, but like Broly might be easier to rewatch just off the strength that it's flashy. It's straight fighting. Like it's just gonna be entertaining.
There's another big thing that Broly has over superhero, and I will 100% give it to it. And it's because people didn't like the switch up, and it's the animation. Like, let's be real here. Not a lot of people like the 3D portion of superhero.
Okay, all right. I was about to say, are you talking about Broly or superhero? Because
No.
people like.
People loved Broly because the
animation
was Shintani, and it was just a huge glow up.
It was good
From
it was
Super's like trash animation force pushingness.
The show.
Like the entirety of the animation for Super, just Dragon Ball Super in general, was constantly being forced, except on certain specific episodes where they hired
the
more
different
animators.
Yeah, just bouncing between different workers in the sense of.
Well, I mean, a lot of
freelancers.
that's what it was. It's like there's a lot of the episodes through Super that's literally just made by a couple dozen people, and
Exactly.
then you have like actual bigger names working on the harder, like good episodes that they wanted to kind of show more and be more epic.
Yeah.
But even then, in between cutscenes, you can see the animations dropping and so forth. But seeing the Broly movie, oh my gosh, it's like.
It was
It's a fresh, cold, ice cold cup of water after you just had like a really hot day out in the sun. Like it's
Right.
refreshing.
Right.
Whereas with superhero, the 3D animations threw people backwards.
But I don't mind it. I liked it and I really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of animation in general. So for me, like I find enjoyment and look at like, I don't know, I just like the art of it all. So I like seeing Dragon Ball take a different route in terms of like superhero brought a different level of smoothness with the added CGI, and you know what I'm saying? And it just looked different. It felt different, but I didn't mind it. I just appreciate seeing different animated mediums. So like, that's me for real.
I think the problem that people have with the 3D was looking back at Battle of Gods. Battle of Gods 3D was kind of terrible in the
It
points
was
that they
bad,
did
but
have.
it was only implemented. It wasn't the whole thing. So
it was implemented
passable.
randomly in like specific like points of view.
Points, yeah.
But
and those
because
points did
of
look
those,
bad.
Well, I don't think they
People-
looked bad per
I
se,
don't-
but
you're right,
for
you're right.
the
No,
time,
Yeah.
it looked weird and out of place.
It looked weird. But hey, hold on. I gotta correct myself when I say that. When I say bad, I just mean off the strength that in terms of what they doing now. Battle of Gods is genuinely one of the greatest animated films to me. I don't care what nobody say. The animation in Battle of Gods was immaculate, and I hate how people overlook that. Like, I don't care. So you know when I say that, I mean like I'm talking about specific, like just in comparisons. That's all. In terms of just how they implemented it, I think it was smart too, because when they was implementing it, a lot of like crashes and like rocks and formations falling, that just looked cool. Like I remember being so awed by that, like just like they seamlessly threw it in 3D. I thought that was dope. I was like, that's sweet. And it still wasn't like the whole film. So yeah, you're right. But it left a bad taste in a lot of other people's mouth. But I'm gonna be real, Joe. That's a weird thing about just people hating on CGI for no reason. And in general, it's almost a bandwagon thing to hate on anything CGI. Because of bad movies that were CGI'd, I understand, but there was great CGI too. Like anything could be bad.
I mean, I get it. I do get both the points of the argument. The thing is like it's switching up from what you're used to. And when people aren't, they don't want to switch from what they're used to.
Exactly. But on top of that, you're switching to something that people are easily able to hate, like bandwagon hate. That could be good.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's just
People
social media.
easily hate on CGI. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they just love to. And I don't know where that started. Obviously, there's been some bad CG films, but there's also been
It's just
bad.
it's just
2D
social
films,
media.
so
I wouldn't even
you know what I'm
honestly
saying? Yeah,
really
it's
say
bandwagon.
it's
So
anything
that's what I'm
else.
saying.
It's a hate train. It's a bandwagon, like you said. Like they
literally. So Dragon Ball switching to it, even if it's good, you just opening up the door to this whole train.
But remember,
regardless.
it's subjective. Not that
Exactly.
point. It is
of
subjective.
course, right? Because it's always been. That's why it's so weird. I can't stand that bandwagon. But you're right though. Like the animation being a key point, just because people enjoy Broly's so much, and it did look great. So it's like I understand it. But outside of that, I think just the strength of Broly's popularity, how good the fight was, it just added a little bit more rewatchability from a general standpoint. I
just don't like the build up in Broly personally. I don't know.
I understand that. No, I understand that.
When I'm watching Broly, I just feel like I want to skip to right when they get to the planet. Like, it's not like it's not interesting to know about, Broly being stuck on Vampa for 40 years. Freaking 40-year-old virgin.
Dang.
I'm just saying.
Bro didn't even know how to act when he saw Sheila.
No, he did. Remember, freaking in the beginning, Broly defended Sheila because she was getting harassed.
Right. He did.
A 40-year-old ape that was stuck on a planet has better manners than freaking 90% of the Frieza Force.
Ain't that insane, bro? That man ain't never seen a woman in his life. Man never touched a woman.
I think that's part of the other reason people really like Super Broly is because they humanized him. Humanized Broly into more than just a puppet.
For sure.
Like an angry puppet. Like, that's the reason I don't consider Super Broly an antagonist. I don't consider him an antagonist. He's not a villain.
They really gave him a brain. Yeah, he's not a villain. And they turned him into and it's like Broly at the end of the day is a Saiyan, and there's only so many Saiyans left.
Yeah.
You gotta be on our side. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be on the king of all Saiyan side, and it's cool to see Broly actually become a main character for real. Or like a useful character for real, not just a
it's common for people to think that Broly on both Z and Super is just kind of brain dead. And it's not that he's brain dead.
Well, Super, he ain't. Yeah.
That is also a big difference between Z Broly and Super Broly is when they both do their legendary awakening, Z Broly's in control. He's 100% in control.
Yeah.
He knows he's got that power, and he's fueled by it, and he's like, I want revenge. I was a puppet for freaking the last 30 years of my life. Screw all you, everyone dies. That's what he does, and you know what? I get it. And that's why I'm fine with it, because he's just like, he's overwhelmed by his own power, and he loves the intoxication of it, and it just makes him a maniacal villain. Knows what he's doing.
That's what I'm saying.
It's all Paragus' fault.
With it. He's a psycho. He's a sociopath. While the Super Broly ended up being, he just isn't as knowledgeable. He's just unintellectual in the sense of
he's like not like super intellectual, but he's not dumb. He's self-aware. He's just he's just homeschooled by a father that was abandoned on a planet, and he couldn't get off of it.
Socially slow.
Yeah,
socially slow, and doesn't have that interaction and experience. Yeah, so it was cool to see.
And there was no other thing that Paragus could have done. The only thing he could do is try to be peaceful. Like, there was no other recourse. You can't just be angry the whole time like he was plotting his revenge, when in the movie of Z, he just get blasted to, I guess, someplace where he could recover. They don't really give you too much context on that. That's the interesting thing about Z versus Super, is that Super and Z Paragus are the only real difference between the two. Like, completely different ways that could have gone down.
True.
If they went the Z Paragus route, where he's been training Broly on the side and building up an army for a whole nother plot against Vegeta and so forth. I mean, that could have been crazy.
Bro's hate for Vegeta and Z was, needs to be studied. That was
he hates Vegeta like Broly hates Kakarot.
Yeah. Just had sheer hate just thinking about him constantly on that planet. It's insane to think that somebody can hate on you and they're not even on the same planet.
Yeah.
For years, even they will not let go. Like, man, you gotta let it go at some point.
The other day, I had to make a little fake profile, bro, because I be spamming. I made a little fake profile just so I can hate. You know what I mean? I got the little notifications on as soon as he posts, bro.
So one more thing I want to throw in. The main reason I prefer Superhero is because it's a continuation of the series. Broly is a random add-on and backstory about Planet Vegeta with, Vegeta's father, etc.
You can throw Broly in at any point, right?
Exactly. But with Superhero, it's the Red Ribbon Army. We're going back to Dragon Ball. We're going throughout the entire series. We've seen Red Ribbon Army here and everywhere, and it's just leading all the way back to freaking Giro's grandson, still picking up from where he left off. So It's continuing the story. It has lots of history behind it, and I just prefer that history because I love Dragon Ball.
Honestly, I feel the exact same way because, how do I put it, like, I guess slice of life, of course, I like the newer films and even newer episodes, like the later episodes of Super and stuff, and in terms of Super and even the movies, I like the points where they show more interaction between the characters, more like things that we haven't gotten enough of, things that, I don't know, something about that is satisfying to me. So that's why I'm on the same side as you. It's just like superhero gave way more of that. So like you said, it's a
right back to the animation thing too. It's a breath of fresh air. You have nothing but a constant fight scene going on. A break from that is very much welcome.
That's what I'm saying.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Slice of Life.
Right.
You have too much Slice of Life or too much filler in Z or any of those points. You just get to a point where it's like, okay, can I see a fight scene now? And it's vice versa. Okay, we have not stopped fighting
from
like, freaking Deborah and Gohan and freaking and Majin Buu and then Majin Vegeta, and then we need a break somewhere in here. That's why Majin Buu Saga is like a crazy roller coaster, because it's literally 1v1 after another. Like, there was no break at the end.
I enjoyed it the whole time.
Oh yeah,
too.
No, it was still good
the whole time. I feel like when they do it too, it's like sometimes it feel like it could be glossed over, but like Superhero didn't do that. I think the only thing I got annoyed at in Superhero is that I kind of just wish we saw a little bit more of even Goku, Vegeta, but at least I'm just glad we saw them, and Broly, and of course Beerus. Like, I liked seeing them just at peace talking, doing some, you know what I'm saying? Just training, that stuff is cool to me. So I feel you. I love that type of timing. It's like good to just see where the character's headspace is at before we get back on some straight fighting. You know, you gotta see where the character headspace at. You feel
That's the other reason why Superhero is better, in my opinion. You just have the background of Gohan. You have the background of Pan, his daughter. You have the background of what Piccolo's doing. You have slice of life interactions. He's got a freaking phone, for crying out loud, with some little plushies. And Superhero is also, once again, another breath of fresh air, because this doesn't focus 100% on Goku and Vegeta. But some people would probably consider that a negative.
That was a good thing. It was cool to see. I think the only thing I was wanting a little more of was some more just like Goku and Vegeta and them reacting. I guess I was seeking personally like Goku and Gohan interaction, and we didn't get that other than them sensing, which is cool. But like, again, the movie wasn't about them. That wasn't the problem. I just, personally wish I saw like Goku, Gohan. You feel me? Well, that's just a me thing though. Wasn't bad. Wasn't a problem.
It wasn't a problem for me, but I know that a lot of people had issues with
just the fact it wasn't Goku or Vegeta.
Yeah, just go with no Goku or Vegeta. I mean, they are the showrunners, I get it. To me, the person that has followed Akira Toriyama and watched the entire series, Akira Toriyama tried to end Dragon Ball so many times.
Yeah, I heard.
He wanted to end it on Planet Namek. He wanted to end it at the Cell games. He wanted to end it at the end of Z. Pretty much every major arc he wanted and intended for the story to end. But the primary reason he would go back is because people wanted it more. Throughout all of history, the people want more. The people demand more Dragon Ball.
Never stop wanting Dragon Ball,
bro. The government wants more Dragon Ball.
Yeah, that's just crazy to me, bro. China wanted more Dragon Ball. But understood. We got your, Superhero being the one that...
Yeah, no, I was glad to see Gohan.
Of course. I've always known you've been a Gohan fan, of course. I rock with Gohan heavy, so... All right, question 2. You ready? This one taking it back to Z, and it connects kind of because you already mentioned OG Broly. OG Broly versus Super Android 13. Who is winning, and how does the fight go?
Okay, wait. Okay, so Z Broly versus Android 13. Full power.
Full power, of course, yes.
I mean, it is Super Android 13. Anyways.
The one who is just knocking out Super Saiyans off the rip.
It's hard to gauge how strong
it is.
And the Z Broly argument is always constant. And it's because of the way that you see the whole movie. The good thing about the Z Broly movie, and the reason why it's one of my favorite movies, is because of the build-up constantly, and then you get a payout constantly.
It was just,
the build-ups were good. and then the climaxes were good, and every point of Z Broly to me. Every single point of the way, I loved the Z Broly movie. But
That's
then
my
when
thing. the hype up and build up is arguably better than Super Broly.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but mainly off the strength that if you show somebody who's never watched Dragon Ball both of those movies, they'll feel the build up more in Z Broly rather than Super Broly. Like, we felt the build up because we know who Broly is.
That's a different argument and a different conversation.
No, but you know what I mean though? Like, think about it, like, we all felt the build up in Super Broly to the fight because we knew who Broly was. We knew who this was about to be a rendition or recreation.
Pretty much, yeah.
If you think about it, someone who has no idea, and I say this because when I saw Super Broly, I went to the movies with some people who didn't know Broly. They weren't getting that hype before seeing Broly, like,
because they didn't know what the legendary
they didn't know
Super
it.
Saiyan
and then they're
was,
seeing exactly, and they're seeing him get beat up, and they know, of course, they have the general knowledge to even know that Goku Vegeta is obviously strong. I know if I take that same person, he still hasn't seen OG Broly. If I show him that, it's like the build up there is just like, you know what I mean? It's
yeah, no, I get you. The point of what I was saying before with the build up with Broly was that you can get a good gauge. You can get a good reading on how strong Broly is. But in the Android 13 movie, I mean, we got, what was it? Yeah, 14 and 15 bouncing around, and then they get mopped when they go Super Saiyan. I mean, they're pretty weak. And then you have a $30 haircut come out over here, and he just pretty much...
Lecture me?
And then he pretty much just 1v1s them as Super Android 13. I mean...
Red Ribbon Redneck went crazy.
We didn't even really see him fight that much. I think he fought Goku, but the scene time of him fighting Goku was very little, if not at all, pretty much.
Who did he punch in the nuts? Was it Goku?
It was Goku, but that was after he transformed into Super Android 13. That's the thing. Like, him transforming into a ball puncher. You know,
yeah, that was insanity. Why did they show that so?
I remember how it felt. Pain of suffering.
Why is it always the Kiwis?
I'm pretty sure they don't have that actually in the updated versions. I'm pretty sure they removed that.
So messed up they removed that. That was so funny.
It was fun. I mean, during that whole time, you don't have a good gauge of how strong he is. The only thing you can compare it to is, once again, Z Broly, and Z Broly does the exact same thing. He beats the crap out of every single one of these fighters, but I can tell you with 100% certainty that Z Broly is stronger, and here's a couple of reasons. Number one, Android 13 takes place before Z Broly. Remember, in Z Broly, Gohan is like trained and getting ready to go fight Cell. That is where Gohan is at in Z Broly. They could have easily
to be in the 7-day wait.
Yeah, it is that you can play Z Broly in the 7-day wait time between him going to the tournament.
Right.
I mean, they could, if they wanted to, they could have just gave Gohan Super Saiyan 2 before the Cell arc for like a bleak of a moment, like false Super Saiyan status, and just ended the whole thing instead. But anyways. That's once again another thing. But my point is like the power level of Super Saiyan Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks at that time in 13, they were immensely weaker. We're talking leagues, because this is like...
You think leagues in Super 13?
Yes, because in freaking Z Broly, they've gone through the years in the hyperbolic time chamber.
That's all right. That's a good argument.
Huge gap. That's a huge gap of power. That's like Cell absorbing 18. Like, that's a huge gap. So honestly,
the only reason we know that though is because of Gohan. Now I hate Gohan, bro. Just keep going. Because why do you have to?
You're just mad that I gave you the secret to that question. Is like that's the answer.
Listen, everybody, listen. We talked about this on Fortnite like 2 months ago, like 2 or 3 months ago, and he remembers. We just kept going back and forth. But here was my reason. Listen, that does make complete sense. I can't even argue that, and I'm impressed. But it was the idea that it took Goku infusing the entire power of a spirit bond to beat Super Android 13, and it took Goku all the energy of, you know, the strongest warriors at that time, the strongest Z fighters to beat Broly. That is the only thing that's comparable, is what was in my head. But when you think about the fact that Gohan was just visible in the Super Android 13, he ain't been in the time chamber. If Gohan was like a tad bit older, taller with the haircut, it would have been arguable. But now that I think about it, it's like, I didn't think about Gohan's size and how he was and how it was. But to be fair though, they at least do both take place in the same time, right? It's just one is
Yeah,
before
no,
time chamber,
it's in
one is
the,
right after. It's literally in the cell.
It's in the
cell
primary universe that we watch. From
just
the
the build up to the cell games, yeah. Just that whole yep.
Yeah, that's
so,
what
like,
it is.
Fair enough. I didn't think about how small Gohan was. Like, man, okay, man.
I'm sorry. So okay, let me give you some.
You gotta answer the second part. You gotta answer the second part of the question though. How would the fight go? So do you think Broly would wash him, or do you think it would be?
As far as how the fight would go, I mean,
I think Super 13 would give him a fight though. I think he would give him a good fight.
So the other thing that people will take into like consideration between the two power levels is the fact that in Android 13 movie, Goku absorbs a giant spirit bomb. We don't know how much exact amount of power is in there. We don't. We have no idea.
Right.
The only
Definitely
thing
a
you
lot,
can
though.
compare that spirit bomb to is when he used it against Frieza. Because other than that right there, I don't think Goku has actually had like a giant spirit bomb that he's used on an enemy other than Frieza and Kid Buu. And that's it.
And
Kid
now
Buu,
Jiren, but
well,
we don't
yeah,
count
but
the
that's
game.
different. that's a whole
it was very
craziness.
different.
But with Frieza survived. With Kid Buu, he died. And the difference being is that it could be the amount of energy. It could just be the character. I mean, there could be loads of different reasons. It could be the fact that Goku went Super Saiyan and pushed the Spirit Bomb, and it just was enough oomph to push Kid Buu out.
Right.
And he was super weak as a base when he's fighting Frieza.
Yeah.
He's on a far out distant planet. It might look like a big spirit bomb, but it doesn't mean it has a lot of energy in it.
Right.
You know,
could just be an idea
a big
that
impact.
Goku is just stronger too in the Buu saga by that time.
Exactly, and
Just-
that is the one thing you do need to think about
How the
is
Spirit
was
Bomb-
the Z Fighters power that they pushed onto Goku in Z Broly equal to that Spirit Bomb, or was it lesser? That's the only thing you can really try to argue with, and you'll never be able to gauge properly.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
what I'm
why
saying.
I go back to
We'll
Gohan's
never,
age.
Right. That's the
'Cause that's
only
the only
valid
thing.
point that can tell you where these characters are at. Good point. That's valid.
Exactly.
100%. Wish you would have said this 3 months ago on Fortnite, but either way, now he had to shut me up in the video. It's cool. So basically,
The difference is I'm prepared.
Yeah, no, it is.
You're distracting me while I'm
I'm
going at people on
We were
Fortnite.
just yapping on the game
But-
at 2 a.m. That's just what that was. But okay, so I agree though. Broly would beat Super 13. I just think Super 13 would at least give him some type of fight. Maybe it'd be like it is still be
If
a
it
wash
was
in the end.
right after he transformed, yeah, he probably
Broly
would.
would get the screaming and power up, and then it's over with. You know what I'm saying? But like in the beginning, like Broly wouldn't be able to mop 13 the way he obviously, it's just mopping the Saiyans. Like it'd be like I had to fight him a little bit. I had to charge up and fight him, like almost like
It's debatable.
almost like
almost
almost like a BoJack versus Vegeta. You know how like BoJack beat Vegeta like straight up, but it wasn't like a wash. Like he was just washing Gohan, Trunks, and Vegeta gave BoJack a fight. Low-key, he got beat, but he was the one who was like, oh man, like BoJack had to like tighten up. Like all right, I can't just wipe Vegeta off the planet. Like
I mean, I would still say no matter what, he's winning. The only
that's what I'm saying.
actual
Like,
argument I would
Broly's
say that
BoJack
Android
and
13
Super
is,
13's Vegeta.
I
You get what I mean?
probably I get what you mean, but I
Now I
probably
gotta play the
disagree.
fight.
The main reason I would say Android 13 could give him a fight is the same exact reason why 17 and 18 are still extremely powerful and so good. I'm not 100%,
Right.
but
Oh,
I'm pretty sure that 13 has either a very high stamina capacity or because I don't think he has infinite. I don't think he has the infinite capacitors in him like 17 and 18 do, because
Right.
he's an older model and he's made by like freaking Jiro's computer. But because he's using the 14, 15 parts and he fused them together somehow or whatever, my headcanon thought is that he's got a crap ton of stamina.
Right.
He's got a crap
of
ton
course.
of energy
Yeah, I
to
just
use.
think that's pretty fair to say.
And I think that's what would happen. Like in the absolute give Android 13 the best possible credit that you could give him. I think that in that scenario, if you're really forcing it, 13 could whittle Broly down to a point where he gets frustrated his power
bro, he's
overflows.
yeah,
he
and then it's
boosts
over with.
up again,
That's exactly
and
what
then
I
he
said.
just bombs
Yep.
them. Or
He gonna change the whole
loses it.
tent of the earth and then scream and destroy 13.
He'll be able to
Throw
do
some hits
something,
in,
yeah. And he'd probably
Yeah,
put
yeah,
up a
watch.
somewhat decent fight just because he's resilient. But
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
he has some crazy attacks.
Z fighters
that red
from
orb, that red ball attack is probably one of the cleanest villain moves I've ever seen. Like, it was cleaner than Vanishing Ball. It was cleaner looking than Death Ball. That big red it's like the red ball in the middle. You know what it looked like? It looked like a Halo Reach kill ball.
Yeah.
I think it was crazy looking. Goku was getting pushed back by it and like he could not move it. Somebody else came in and sent it away though. I forget who. Vegeta.
Yep. With a massively insane entrance.
The entrance is legendary. Same thing with Bojack.
I think they have. Doesn't he do the same entrance?
same
basically twice?
entrance.
It's the difference is
There's a
he's
building.
splitting a building in half, and then he's splitting an iceberg in half.
Bro just randomly
That's his
took
favorite
down
entrance.
the Tipton Hotel out of nowhere to show up. Finally got to the bottom of that. Just running random battles of Tenkaichi 3, just thinking like, man, who would win between these two? All right, 3. If you don't have a lot to say about this one, I have something to say because it's quite bugged me. I can't reveal who said this. I did agree to have his statement be off the record. He does not want to question. I don't think he fully feels this way anymore, though. I was able to convince him, though. However, I don't know if you're gonna feel this way. This is tough.
Okay.
A homie of mine, off the record, said he wouldn't put. This hurts to read. This hurts to read now. He wouldn't put the Dragon Ball games as a whole in the top tier of some of Bandai Namco's best work as a publisher. How do we feel about that? That was tough to read.
Well,
it was tough to read.
You're making me have to look up like the history of Bandai.
So I'll tell you this
like,
though. Now look.
Published games.
Right, they have a lot of games, so we ain't gotta go into depth about all of them.
Yeah.
But I'll say we just talking off of the recent millennium, right? Like on some 2000s.
I mean, if you're
to
counting
now,
up till now,
2000s till
then,
now, not like no 1980s. We're not going back to Pac-Man because Bandai low-key legendary in the gaming space. If you go back there,
I mean,
it is.
Yeah, they got Tekken. I mean,
I know. So
get
yeah,
it.
we got. Oh yeah, but I was just saying if you go back to the
they
80s
got
and stuff like
Tekken,
Pac-Man,
they got Tails games.
they got Pac-Man.
got-
Like they're legendary. I'll tell you this. What we were putting in the S tier easily was Tekken, the Souls games, all of them, Elden Ring included. All the Souls titles will just, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring. I guess even Sekiro, like just the Souls-like games, right? All that is coupled into one though, not individually like on some. Just those Souls games are S tier, even if some of them were bad. Like the Souls games as a whole is some of their best work, right? Tekken is some of their best work, like undisputable.
Yep, they have a lot of JRPGs like Dot Hack and Tales of games. They made some of the Xenosagas, which is the prequel, basically, or same universe of Xenoblade.
Yeah.
You got all of the other anime games like Naruto and so forth.
So
You got Dynasty Warriors. Gundam.
here's where
You have
this conversation
Eternal
go from.
Sonata.
Some of their best work.
and
Now that's pretty subjective,
Calibur.
but there is the objective idea that the ones that we said, Soul Calibur, I would put in some of their best work. I don't know if everybody else would, but I do.
Everyone disagrees considering that it got canned recently.
It did, right? But like, in terms of like Soul Calibur's 1 to 5 and just that era of what it did, I like, I really enjoy those games. But we could even go off like the objective standpoint. The main ones I mentioned and put up there and some of their best work all have like great reception from a general standpoint. Not every single game, but the general standpoint of that series has such good reception. You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna tell you something right now
Go ahead.
about Bandai Namco, and I'm gonna get flack for it. People are gonna.
I should be geeked for that. My fault. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. So Bandai Namco is notoriously known for two things, in my personal opinion. It's known for one, anime-esque games, for one. And two,
Pretty bad.
it's known for having multitudes of developers that pander to niche audiences.
Literally. No, bro. I don't think anyone should
So-
get flack for this. That's just facts.
As a publisher in general, because they're pandering to specific different audiences with different developers, if this was a developer question, it'd be a completely different question. It'd be a completely different answer. Completely different.
But that's
But
why
because
Bandai
you're
is
talking
just a
about a publisher?
They're just the publishers. Yeah.
As a publisher, I mean, Dragon Ball is up there on the top, like next to Tekken and Tails.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
It is because of how widely known Dragon Ball is.
Right.
It's it's irrelevant to what you personally think about the game, because yes, Dragon Ball is a niche. It is a niche in the video game game.
To an
it is a
extent.
niche in the video game.
But
And so is Tekken. Tekken sells millions of copies. It has the
But it's
entire
still
fighting
a
game
niche,
community
though,
behind
yeah.
it. It's still considered.
it's still niche though, yeah.
because it's not a AAA game that's like Call of Duty or something like that.
Bro, even Souls,
Even,
as millions
even
is
Souls
niche.
is considered a niche.
Oh,
yes, it is.
definitely is, because you just think, you know what I'm saying? It don't get that reception in
Just because you watch it, just because it gets lots of views
doesn't mean
on like streamers and content creators, that
that's not
doesn't
what
mean that
means.
it has fans. It doesn't mean it has tons of people playing it. No. It has lots of people watching it. And,
I think,
seeing that.
the best way I describe to people how you can like really know the differences of those is like, it's the same way I even look at, like, I could call my mom up right now, mention Call of Duty, she knows what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
I can
You
say
mention
Dark
Dragon Ball,
Souls,
she'll probably know that.
she'll know Dragon Ball as well, but it's like she'll know Dragon Ball as the series, of course, as a show, not the game. Like I like think of it as the games, but Dark Souls, she's not gonna know that. She's not gonna know what Dark Souls is. I would have to explain to her what Dark Souls is. I would have to explain to her even probably what Tekken is. She wouldn't.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Street Fighter is not Bandai, but I think she might know Street Fighter. I think Street Fighter somehow did extend. It's still niche. It's still very niche, but Street Fighter, something about Street Fighter, maybe just because of how far back it go. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is with Street Fighter, but I think she might know Street Fighter. I kind of want to ask her now, like, what's Street Fighter? To see if she knows, like, that's the fighting game. That's besides the point. But you're right, like, it's still niche. When you said that, I'm like, nah, you tripping. So then we had to start, like,
He's tripping. I'm sorry.
he is. He was. And I was able to get him to see that because I had to start going through the catalog. Because I'm like, look, there are misses in the Dragon Ball games. I'm like, there's misses in every series, though. Tekken has misses. You know what I'm saying? Tekken, I know people hate it on, you feel me? I know. So every series has misses. And if you can still put, Tekken, all those, I'm like, Dragon Ball has to be in some of their best work. Just because the ones that hit from Dragon Ball hits and is so respected as a good game. Like, Budokai Tenkaichi 3, just the Budokai series as a whole, 2 or 3, whatever, like, they all have that type of game that is just, nah, bro, Dragon Ball is easily some of their best work. It's easily in there. It's undisputed to me. I'm like, that isn't...
You're just... unfortunately, it's one of those things where you're just hating on it to hate on it if you're saying that.
Thank you!
I'm sorry,
I was like, bro, I'm so sorry. Like, I think his mindset was, some people think Dragon Ball is carrying just the idea of how some of these games are. And it's like, I know that's not a fact, especially now, because I ain't gonna lie, I have at least 5 to 10 people I can name right now who has not actually watched Dragon Ball but enjoyed Xenoverse. I have homies who never really watched Dragon Ball Z. They only know general stuff because Dragon Ball is big, and they enjoyed playing Xenoverse. Both of them. Like, they got them, they played them. You feel me? So I'm like, I know it isn't just the idea. We don't all blindly play these games like they're bad because it's Dragon Ball. Like, no. It's just, that's never been what it was. We do like them. We blindly get them because they're Dragon Ball, but we don't blindly say these games are amazing because they're Dragon Ball. That's not.
No,
we don't. Especially since we're so much older.
Casual fans will probably,
maybe.
Overall,
but I'm talking about like the generalness of like the ones who really play games, because we play more games than just Dragon Ball games. Yeah. That's like, you feel me? We don't just call these games great because it's Dragon Ball. Like, it's not carrying it to that degree. I don't think any of the other Bandai series of anime games touch it except for maybe Naruto Storm. And that's debatable because some of them hate some storms that are not like that. But
Naruto games actually do
good.
not have a very good history.
They
were good in the
I know.
PS2 and early 360, PS3 era, but they've completely dropped off at this point. I mean, the most recent title even dropped off. It still did good. It still did good.
And that was
but
like off the strength of
it
Naruto.
dropped. Yeah. Like, Naruto is still a good series, but I'll be real. Part of the reason Naruto dropped was, because of Boruto.
Oh yeah.
That's the primary reason that shit. But that's also another conversation for another day for a different fandom.
Yeah, that's a whole another one. Well, that might be in another episode. But I just couldn't help, man. That take had me annoyed, bro. So we had to talk about it because I'm like, you can't write them off because it's Dragon Ball. I think on top of that, there is something to be said about the idea that you can't, it would be incredibly hard for a fighter to get known, or any type of like, even a Kakarot based like RPG. Dragon Ball is so unique, and so the way it has to handle things in its games has to be unique. Like, I don't see, you can't make another fighter just blatantly like Dragon Ball and it would just take off and be as good as the story of Dragon Ball, the lore of it, the way they fight, how you implement it in the games. It's something to be appreciated how they did it, you know? A lot of the games, like, it's something to be appreciated. Especially the developers not even having that much time. It's crazy. On a lot of the titles, at least. So I was like, nah, like, Dragon Ball is easily some of their best work. Anime series just don't even touch what most of the Dragon Ball games did, you know? Bandai's anime games specifically, we're talking about.
Yeah, if you're really wanting to go that hard right there, I mean, it's easily in the top reasons Bandai even makes money.
Thank you.
I mean, really,
yeah,
it really is.
Though. It really is. But
because when a Dragon Ball game flops, I mean, it's not a bit. They don't care. They don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sold enough initially that it's irrelevant if it did poorly or not. In all honesty.
So true.
But when like a Tekken game fails to sell or is not good, it's bad. It's bad for the series.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 was okay, but it wasn't that amazing. There's a lot of gripe behind 7. Right. 8 is doing extremely well right now.
Yeah, 8 did.
The biggest problem with 8 is their season pass and DLC, but you know, that's a huge problem in the industry in general.
Yeah.
So Tales has completely dropped off, unfortunately. I mean, Tales of Arise did pretty well, but it's the first one to do well in the last like 5+
long time,
years.
I ain't even heard of Tales getting really like, yeah, bro. Arise is the first one I even like heard of, you know, a title going anywhere in the recent years. So like,
yeah, no, Tales games probably historically have barely made maybe 30-40 million copies. I mean, it's very small, but if you look up all the sales for Dragon Ball games, just by Bandai, by the way, not all Dragon Ball games are published by Bandai.
Right.
You'll easily hit upwards of 60-70+ million copies. I mean, it's
insane.
It just sells.
It does.
It just sells by name.
It does. And it's just funny though, because like the developers they get for it, at least majority of them have done just good jobs, just off the strength of like, you look at some of Bandai's other games, bro, or their Sword Art Online games, or their like Jump Force. Like, you look at any of the other games, bro, just the quality in comparison to what the Dragon Ball games. Oh, come on.
So to put into like perspective, Halo is obviously a big name.
Of course.
You know what Halo is.
Oh yeah, and that's another one. Like, you can ask a parent, they'll know what Halo is. They've heard of Halo.
As far as release statistics have gone for all Halo games up till like last year, they've only sold 81 million copies in total.
Oh wow.
You would think it's a lot higher,
like
right?
100 or something. Yeah, I think it's 100 plus. I'm not gonna hold you.
You see, this is the reason why social media was a mistake in some ways, is that social media makes you think all of these things are like affecting the world. It's a universal thing. Y'all forget we have 8 billion people on the planet.
That's so
I don't
true.
give a.
That's so true.
The fact is that gaming is literally not even a 10th of that. That's what you got to realize. It is still very niche. It is not wildly accepted.
So
it is
true.
not
It's
wildly
still
obtainable
growing.
either. It's barely growing, and it's actually kind of going in a negative in some areas.
Oh
but,
yeah. Well, from a like industry standpoint, but I just mean like the interest in it. I still feel like it's just growing because just
the interest is there.
Yeah,
but social media blows it up more so than what it actually is.
True.
So
and it's like,
whoever your friend was, and my thing is like, each their own opinion, but you're wrong.
If the game, right, and if the games were like not good or not that great, I don't think it would. You know what I'm saying? You've had great Dragon Ball games. That's the important part that I was trying to help him realize. Like, everybody enjoyed them, from adults to kids. Like, they were great. He was just missing that point a little bit, you know? The Dragon Ball games as a whole, like, on Bandai's side, like, that's some of their best work. I'm not putting that anything under. They got some good titles in their vote, like Tekken and the Souls titles. And Little Nightmares might end up being in there with how this trilogy looking. Little Nightmares is a good game.
I still think that's super niche, but
it's very niche. But it's just like, as a series, like, I don't know how that third one's gonna look, but it looks like it's gonna be good. I feel like that might go down as one of them like cult classics for them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a good series to play through if you just want to play it. Like, so yeah, I had to make sure I wasn't tweaking when I told him all that. Thank you for answering that one. And then we got one more bonus question. Me and Joy had already had a conversation about a certain game, so I can't ask him that. So I wanted to ask about something else that recently released. Minecraft movie. It's just a bonus question. It's the last one. Minecraft movie. How do we feel about that? And do you think it's gonna flop as bad as Concord?
No. won't flop as bad, but I'll be honest with you, I haven't even
What
watched the
will?
trailer.
You haven't? What have you heard about it?
Heard people don't think Jack Black should be in the role, and that's pretty much about all I've heard.
I think the biggest debate right now, the biggest topic, and I don't know how I feel about it. Jason Momoa. Yeah, Joe, hold on. I need you to look at the trailer right quick. It's literally a minute long.
I'm not really sure how else they would have done it. It's literally just a spoof film, and it looks like they just went into
Minecraft world, right? Because exactly,
it's like they got Jumanji,
right?
Pretty much what it looks like.
Right, just speaking out of pocket here, but it's like I said, it's not looking like it's gonna be good, but it honestly don't look like it's gonna be trash to me. It don't look like it'll be trash. It look like a bad, goofy movie, but like it could still be entertaining, just off the strength that that's how much power I think Minecraft has. At least maybe that might just be over me of how much I play Minecraft, but I just think them being in a Minecraft world might be enough to just carry it on an entertaining perspective, even if it's bad. I think the big issue people been having is like they feel like this should have just been animated. I don't know.
I don't think there was any good way to do a Minecraft movie. I mean,
that's what I think too.
I don't think there was any good way to do it. Personally, I don't think there was a need to even make it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, right. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Minecraft's at that point though where I'm not mad at them for doing something like this. It's the same way how I felt about Angry Birds. Like, you make a movie, I'm not about to be mad you made a movie. Like, you made so many millions off of that mobile game, and it was such an iconic mobile game in history.
Yeah.
Why not make a movie at that point? Even if it's bad. Like, I feel like Minecraft finally hit that point of like, we should just have a movie just cause. Like, I do wish they went the effort of making sure this would be.
If they had just made it some random animated movie, I don't even know how that would have worked, because that's the thing. Like, that's the difference between, like, when you look at it that way, you have like your player character, your quote unquote Steve or whatever, and then you just have the real world. I mean,
exactly. Like,
I don't know how they would have gone about that, because
then it would have started like
gonna
making a Minecraft story.
Block characters.
Right. Yeah. Like, the more I thought about it, I'm like, animated, like, you have them into the world and they're Minecraft. Like, you got Steve as your main character. Are you implementing like a story now? Is this gonna be a consistent thing? It's just like, I don't know.
I think they should have done the trailer better. The trailer just shows some random fools going into a Minecraft-esque world, and Jack Black is Steve. What they should have done is, and what I'm pretty sure it's going to be, is that Steve, Jack Black, probably got into the Minecraft world and could never escape it. That's probably what happened.
Yeah.
That's probably what they're going to roll with, and why he just looks like this weird old man that's in a video game world. It's going to be Tron. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be Tron.
Right.
You got trapped in there,
there's the potential for it to be entertaining.
You're a little cuckoo for the Cocoa Puffs, and that's just how it'll be. And they'll go throughout all of the making things and trying to find a way to get out, etc., etc. I think it'll be a good watch for, I don't know, just lulz.
Yeah.
I just don't know who they're pandering to, because
I don't either. Because like, you can't.
It should be focused towards kids, which is why, like you said earlier, it should have been just animated.
Right.
Animated would have been better, because
for the kids specifically.
Yeah, because kids play Minecraft primarily. It's not like adults don't. Obviously, adults do. You got freaking YouTubers and streamers and so forth.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, I don't play it anymore, but I know several people that do, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just a casual game. That's all it is.
Exactly.
It's not this crazy epic series adventure,
right,
or anything of the form. No, it's you go in there, you have this chill music, you're punching blocks, and you're making stuff.
Yeah, bro. It's one of them games that like, it's so cemented in a state that it cannot die, because it's like, it's almost like you never really like leave it. Even if you don't play it too much anymore, there's always the opportunity for you to just come back and play it again. Minecraft's always just that game that's there. Maybe they just haven't had trouble figuring out who they actually wanted it to be marketed at, because like, kids obviously would love it. There's definitely like adults who still love Minecraft. There's teenagers who love Minecraft. Like, it's just,
I mean, that's why the characters that are in there are in there. It's
exactly,
because they wanted to try and make it a movie for all quote unquote audiences to enjoy, and they included Jack Black and Momoa and these random newer kids that are in recent series and stuff to be more recognizable, and they're gonna try and make it
each
funny
demographic feel like they're represented in here, like each
Yeah, they are. I'm not really sure how that'll go, but I mean, I don't think it's gonna bomb or anything like that.
Right. No, it's Minecraft.
It'll do fine.
It'll be fine.
And if anything, people are gonna go watch it for the meme of it. I mean, really?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, it's Minecraft. After I asked the question now, y'all realize though, like, you think it's gonna be possible to ever have another game that flops as bad as Concord? I'm gonna be honest.
No. No. That thing literally didn't last 2 weeks. I have never ever seen
failure that bad.
I've never seen a game to date. I am 30 years old. I have seen so many games.
In gaming
freaking
history, I've never
tank.
seen a flop that bad. It's impressive. It's actually like a speed run fail. That was a speeding run record of like a game dying.
I'm gonna tell you something right now.
And it died in 2 weeks. And it's like gone. Like it's gone.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I supported and I kickstarted Mighty Number 9. That game tanked hard. That game was crap, and people had high expectations for it because it was the creator of frickin' Mega Man trying to get out on his own after.
I remember hearing about that, bro. What
they
happened to
took
that
the
game?
IP away from him.
I never realized that it flopped that bad. I just remember I never heard about it again. That's
it's because it flopped that bad. It's one of those times I kind of regret my name is in the credits. Or a variation of my name is in the credits.
No
anyway.
shot. That's insane. I want to look.
But
I gotta want to look. That's insane.
It
That's
tanked
cool.
pretty hard to the point of nowadays people don't buy that game, and it gets literally put on $1 sales. It's when a game's sales literally goes down to $1 just to sell the dang thing.
Dollar store, bro. Dollar store game is crazy.
It's literally turned into a dollar store game, yeah. But Concord is a perfect example of when social media kind of, I don't know how to say it, both wins and doesn't. I know you think that it could have been a good game, and you're probably right. It could have been a decent Overwatch clone.
8 years ago.
8 years ago. 8 years ago, it could have been fine and probably
That's what I'm
went
saying. It
somewhere.
could have
But
possibly.
nowadays,
That's my point. Yeah, I don't
we
mean it would have been the
have
greatest game. Yeah,
Yeah,
it could have had a.
Nowadays, it just didn't.
Because like
it wasn't gonna survive.
Because when and the reason I said that when I was talking to you is like the idea of just to be fair to it and how the gameplay is and looks and everything. Like games like Paragon didn't even die that fast. Paragon had a
Paragon
player. It was a good game.
stayed up for a bit.
It wasn't a bad game.
It was a good
You know what
game.
I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. And it stayed relevant for not relevant, but like it stayed with its own community.
I'm not gonna say it was relevant.
Yeah, it stayed with its own community. That's my point, right? With its own community for a good period. Not no 2 weeks. I know that for a fact.
No.
And then it got a spiritual successor that's still going right now. I recently learned about it, actually. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
It was
it's
I heard of the
kind
game.
of a spiritual successor.
Yeah, I heard
they
of it.
made the assets free.
I heard of that game. I just didn't realize it was reusing Paragon assets. I didn't know about that. But it's still going somehow. So I was like, that's cool. I've never seen that. I just don't think anything will ever flop that bad. Like I don't think we'll ever see something that crazy. We just witnessed some over the history.
I mean, yeah, we're not going to see another game flop like that without the developers just being straight up cowards in general. So,
Yeah. Honestly, I think Concord is going to be my new way to say something fell off. Like if somebody or some like artist, whatever fell off, like I'll just hop in the comments and say Concord. And I feel like everybody will know. That's the crazy.
I'm going to tell you right now, there is several reasons that Concord failed. Also part of the fact that the developers straight up insulted everyone.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
They literally
Yeah, it
called
was
everyone a bunch of freaks.
And idiots.
They called them a
and
bunch of babies and idiots. They talentless idiots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw that.
It was really, really disrespectful and stupid. And I'm gonna tell you right now, part of the reason they probably tanked it is because of that. Probably because of those comments that were said.
Like, not only
because
did you
of the poor
flop,
sall, the poor
right.
reception.
Not only did you
just
flop,
all
you
together,
lashed out
and
at
the lash out.
Yeah.
It's the lash out. The lash out was the cherry on top of it. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
This is a failure. You just wasted 8 years of our time and money. Just pull it. We're done. 2 weeks. It's not 7 days. No, it's 2 weeks.
Right.
You might as well watch the upgraded Ring version.
What a monumental moment, bro. So yeah, just had to get your takes though. Okay. I don't know what we gonna call this. We have to come up with a slick name for it, but it's just 3 questions and, you know, the possible bonus question that I will somehow always add. It's been Joe Saiyan and Realize Zero. Thank you for tuning in.
Have a good day and a good night, everyone.